This is the image that I worked Morty's butt with at the beginning of the conference. If any of you guys were here for the game show, we had 20 minutes to design with the assets that we were given. And I did a couple of things that involve gradients. I just wanted to show you how I did them because they're tip-oriented. So if you look here at the image, what I wanted to do is I wanted to put some text over here at the bottom of the jukebox. But it would be hard, of course, to see the text because there's so much going on in the photo that's placed behind it, no matter what color I used, even if it was white, which was exactly the color that I used on the text. And here it is. I'll illustrate my point. You can't really see it that well, even with an outer glow applied to it. So what I figured I'd have to do is put some sort of gradient behind it that would fade to nothing so that it would give a nice smooth transition so that you could read the type but then see the image behind it. Well, the problem with InDesign is that you can't create a gradient that has a color stop that contains transparency like you can in Photoshop. However, if you know a few things about blend modes and the magic involved there, you can actually use your blend modes to fake it. Okay, so what I did is, and notice I'm using layers over here. I have everything separated out in layers. I didn't name them until after, well, most of them. I still have layer 2 and layer 6. I didn't name them until after I created this. But this is what I created. I just created this simple gradient. You look in the gradient palette, it just goes from white to black. And it's going straight up from black to white, okay, from the bottom to the top. But like I said, I want this to give the appearance that it's fading to transparency or fading to none, like you would create in Photoshop. So in order to do that, all I did was select the box. You can also Option-click or Alt-click on that layer to select that particular frame in InDesign. Then go into your effects palette. This is where your blend modes are. Up here, if you choose Multiply, what that's going to do is drop all of the whites in your gradient. So I choose Multiply and look at what we have. So now we have a nice smooth gradient effect, just like we would create in Photoshop. Okay? I'm real big on using InDesign for Photoshop effects and Illustrator effects because the material is all there for you. You just may not realize it. So we went ahead and we created our gradient. If we go back into our layers palette, now we can put our text back on, and we can see the text a lot better. So that's one tip. I also want to show you one other really quick thing. If you look here, if I turn these off and I turn on this text layer, you can create a similar type of effect with a block of text. In InDesign, it's incredibly easy to apply a gradient to editable text. See, I can select this and actually type something else in or edit it if I needed to, if I had maybe misspelled conference, which I don't think I did, which is good. But anyway, this is a nice effect. You can create backgrounds with text and apply a gradient. You can use the gradient tool. And all I did to create this fading to none or transparent effect is use a gradient that uses the same black build as the background frame. Okay, there's two separate frames here. The background frame is using a black build. The gradient that I applied to this text is using white to the same black build. And that creates a color to transparent effect, but it's all done in InDesign, okay? We're just fooling people. You can make people think that you're a Photoshop master, and really you're just using things in InDesign. Okay, so now if you wanted to, you could just put a graphic over it or do something else that looks really cool, maybe Rockin' Saturday again, and create an entirely different poster. Okay, so that's it.